Developers are snatching up condos all over the state of Florida. Is yours next? So today's video is going to be about condo terminations, developers, and zombies? Yeah, zombies. Hey, so before we get into the video, I want to welcome all my first-time viewers. Thank you guys for coming here. I really appreciate it. And even some of you that may be returning for the second time. I'm a local realtor. My name is Paul, and I'm with True Floridian Realty, and I've been living here in South Florida for 30 years. So listen, when I tell you that I've been through it, I've been through it. I've been through the 2008 crash. I've been through the hurricanes. I've been through all the changes going on in the real estate market, but I've also been here for all the good stuff. I've raised 2 kids here, so as a parent, I know the things that you're gonna be looking for. Neighborhoods, parks to take them to, Sunday visits at a beach, what beaches to go to. This channel is all about living in South Florida, both real estate and some fun stuff, guys. That's what the channel's about. I almost tripped, you see that? But can't walk and chew gum. But yeah, so if you're thinking about moving here, please subscribe to the channel. More importantly, click that little bell because then you get notified every time I make a new video, and I'm gonna start going live on Wednesdays, so you can watch my live streams, and that way I actually get to take questions from you guys and I can talk to you and interact with you just a better way. So, all right, we got an exciting video, so let's get to it. All right, so condo termination, what is that? Well, developers are out looking for condo buildings that they can acquire, and they call the term condo termination, like being terminated, right? Your condo building is literally being terminated. And they go through a process. So the way this happens is they make offers or try to buy up all the individual units. For example, an investor may buy, I don't know, 15, 20 units in a building, okay? And they do that. And this doesn't happen overnight. Some of these people started doing this back in 2011, one of the stories I talked about. And then they get with deeper pockets, with more people, developers to back it. And they come in and they start buying up all the units. So currently they need about 80% of the votes in order to sort of get the ball rolling to say that they're gonna buy out the building. But don't fret, there's still a little bit of hope because only 5% are needed to basically kill the deal. So with all the condo crisis going on, these developers, right, these, some might call vultures, no, you saw them circling, maybe they know something. They're looking for old condo buildings. They're not looking at the brand new, folks. They're looking at the ones that are dealing with the high assessments and they haven't had the repairs, and they're the prime properties that these developers are looking to come in and snatch. So what they'll do is they'll come in and start offering you probably more than current market value, right? We know the condo market's flooded right now, but they may come in and offer you a lot of money at first for your condo. And you're like, hey, that looks really good. And you could take that money and run, you know? But some people hold out. And what happens when they hold out is over time, once they acquire, say, you know, 79% of all the condos, or maybe they got all that many of the condos already, you get to those last few, they're gonna offer you next to nothing, and you're gonna end up losing out. And here's the deal, once they have 80%, and if no one objects to it, they can buy the condo and they can literally kick you out. They take over the condo board. So they change the rules. And once they have all that, they can literally shut off the utilities, cable, water, all that stuff. They can shut everything off to the building because they own it. And then where are you at? All right, so obviously these developers are looking for condos in a prime location, right? You know, real estate is all about location, location, location. So some of the key things that they're looking for, the prime candidates for what these developers want, are gonna be condo buildings with, say, 100 or fewer. Now, why do they want that? Well, the less people that live there, the less chance they have people to oppose buying out the property, right? Also, real estate, right? Square footage is a prime. They want to get the most bang out of their property. Well, when they see properties that have parking lots, big open parking lots, if you look at all the modern buildings, what do you see? They have a parking garage. They have the garage and the unit going on top of it. That way they're getting the best use of the land. So then when they see these other condo buildings that were built back in the 50s and 60s and they have these big parking lots, that's a prime candidate for them. Also, obviously, waterfront, right? Why do you think they want to buy these? Because they can put one of those mega high-rise condominiums right there on the water and turn around and sell them for $3, $4, $15 million. And that's what we're seeing all up and down the coast of Florida right here, especially in Southeast Florida. And lastly, one of the perfect ingredients for them, I guess if you're looking at it that way, is old concrete balconies and railings, right? They don't have the new modern glass ones, which in their mind means the HOA doesn't have the money to afford to make those changes. You'll see all the modern ones have those fancy glass railings and balconies, not the old concrete where they got to do concrete restoration, which you see a lot of that going on. So that's what they're looking for. So if you live in a condo building like that, you might want to keep an eye out and see if a lot of your units are selling very quickly. Wow, this is beautiful, isn't it? You can see why people like living here in these condos. It's right on the Intercoastal Waterway, and it's beautiful water views. So you know that the developers are out there looking, and they're looking for these condos that they consider prime. So there's a recent story that was in the news about a condo building similar to this, right on the water down in Fort Lauderdale, a prime location. And with that story, they were doing their inspection, right? They had their milestone. They were doing some concrete restoration work on the property. Sorry guys, it's a little loud, we're on a bridge, but hey, these videos are out in the live, not in the studio. So, and the building was already going through like 4 months, and they're doing some work. And this was right around when Hurricane Helene was coming. And they got a notice that everyone had to evacuate the property. They were worried the building was going to fall over due to the winds from Hurricane Helene, which really didn't affect us, but nonetheless, 35 miles an hour. So that's what they were concerned about. So they told like 12 people were affected. This condo building, by the way, was built back in 1948. It was originally a hospital, and then in 1978 they converted it to a condo building. But the reason I'm telling you this is you kind of wonder if there's something a little bit more going on with these condo buyouts. And the reason I say that is the HOA manager or president for this particular condo association had said that this had been going on for a while. They knew about the restoration work and nothing serious was going on. And then all of a sudden it was impending doom. They have to get out. So he went and he got another engineer. He hired a second engineer to take a look at it. And this is why I say, is there something more to this? The second engineer looked at it and he said, this is nothing to really be worried about. This is normal salt air. This is normal corrosion and stuff that happens with buildings that are near salt water. And it's just normal, and we can address it. Yet you had the other guy reaching out to the city, red flag, fire department, people got to get out, you're gonna die. Again, guys, I'm not an engineer or an expert or anything, but it just makes you kind of wonder, how can one person say it's doom and gloom and another guy said, hey, this is normal. This is South Florida. We see this all the time. The other thing that HOA manager had said was that his neighborhood is considered a hot neighborhood. That part of Fort Lauderdale is very desirable. So it makes you wonder, is there somebody in somebody's ear kind of saying like, yeah, this building needs to come down so they can put in a new, big, fancy building? I don't know, guys. I know there's a lot of conspiracy theories going out there, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it does make you wonder. And I know a lot of you have left comments about, you know, these engineers are going to make sure that they say everything's wrong with the building for fear of them being sued, right, if the building collapses. But I don't know. This engineer was hired and he gave his professional opinion and he said it was not that bad. So look, this story is going to be ongoing. We've been talking about this. It's almost been a year now, and we're going to continue following this story. There's a lot of different stories dealing with the condos, and I'm going to keep bringing them to you. But it does make you wonder a little bit, like, what was the reason, the motivation to say this building's not safe, and another professional said it's perfectly fine. Anyway, all right, so that leads us up to the third part of our video, which I told you, the scary, the spooky part. We're going to talk about zombies. Oh no! All right, not those kind of zombies, but they are zombies nonetheless. They're zombie condos. All right, so let me tell you a little story about a condo building down in the Miami area, right on the bay, called Biscayne 21. So this is a property a couple years ago that had exactly what we've been talking about. They were coming in and doing a buyout. They had some investors who started buying in early 2011. This one particular investor bought a bunch of units. And then he got with the developers, more money. And they started to make offers on the properties, on the condo units. So let me tell you about this one particular lady. So the developers were coming in and making offers, and they reached out to her. They offered her like almost $700,000 which is about 3 times what she had paid and spent upgrading the property over the 30 years. So this is her home. Beautiful bay view, sunrise, Miami, everything you dream about. And she didn't want to sell. She was opposing, and so they pretty much won. They won, and she had to vacate her property, but not without a fight. So she got involved with some lawyers, and she got some other people, and they decided to sue and take it to court. But not before she was forced to leave her condo, and now she's in like a 1-bedroom apartment or something, and she has all her stuff in a storage, and she has to go to the storage because she doesn't have room for all her clothes. Her life was turned upside down, people. And it's not fair, and she's quite upset about it. So the building is now basically the term zombie, right? It's a vacant unit, no one's living in it, but they can't sell it, and the developers can't develop it because it's all tied up in a court of law. So she's living in this little apartment and, you know, waiting for the courts, right? This could take years, folks. Nothing happens quickly when it goes to court. And of course, the developer's fighting it. And I think where it last left off. Hey everyone, I had to interrupt the video because I had some updated information for you about this particular part. So first, I'm doing a little research about the Biscayne 21 while I'm editing the video tonight. I'm getting this video ready for Sunday's upload. And what I found out was that, first of all, it's the 3rd District Court of Appeals, not the Supreme Court. Sorry, I don't know why I said that, but that's where this whole lawsuit is being held up right now, and everyone is waiting to see what their decision is going to be, because it's going to have a big impact on what decision the court decides, either in favor of the people who own the units or the developers. So this particular building was built in 1960, and in their charter, and a lot of the older buildings have this, you need 100% of the homeowners, the condo owners, to agree to let a developer come in and buy out the building. So this particular HOA invited the developers into it, right? This is all after the Surfside collapse. It's been going on for a while. And they invited them in, and they had about 96% of the homeowners or the condo owners in agreement to sell, but they had 10 people or 5% hold out. And they said, no, we don't want to. And they said, it's wrong. You can't only get 96% agreement and do this. Our charter says 100%. And so you can have one person say no and veto the whole thing. So that's where this kind of fell apart. Now they won, as I said, and she had to move out and the other people had to move out, and she's living in a 1-bedroom in a house, renting a room. And this is tied up in court, and it's been tied up for a while. So, meanwhile, she doesn't have her house, and she's waiting for the court to make this decision. But so that's where this is at, and it's again, this is going to be one to really follow for South Florida to see what happens with this decision, because as I said, a lot of the buildings, it's 80% to get approval to take over and get rid of the HOA and everything. And with her building, like the article said, they threatened that they would start turning off the security, the elevators, the air conditioning. So she had to leave. So we'll see what happens. But again, the building's been sitting now vacant for all this time. And that's why I said zombie condos, right? Because what's it going to be like when she goes back? If there's been no AC on, you know what South Florida's like. You turn the AC off for a day and mold starts growing. So only time will tell. We'll see. But anyway, I just felt the need to clarify this for the video. All right. Back to Boynton Beach. Is that it could end up going to the Supreme Court, right? They're trying to take it as far as they can to fight this. But anyway, so the term zombie condos comes from this. This is happening all over Florida, and here's what you have to think about. Even if she wins, is she going to want to go back to her condo? What is she going to go back to? Maybe her and 2 other people go back to it, and the building and all the amenities. Remember, they took over the condo board, and they changed the rules and everything. So, nothing's been done, nothing's been updated. If you go and look at it online and go look at some pictures, it looks like a building that's falling apart, and it literally is. So that's the term zombie condos. And it's happening all over. There was a story about a guy that I read who lived on the west coast of Florida. I think he was a fireman. He didn't want to leave, and he was the only guy living in the building. Imagine you're the only person in that entire building. So you're not going to have all your amenities, all those things that you're paying for. So this is a real thing that's happening. That's why they call them zombie condos. Like I said, they're just sitting there half alive, I guess. So who knows what's going to happen. And I mean, really, when you think about it, if the building's in that bad a shape and they don't have any organization, no members, no money, the building's just going to get torn down eventually. I think the developers are going to end up winning, and they know that. It's a long game. They're playing the long game, and eventually they'll probably win. And this poor lady, where she might have gotten offered $700,000, she's lucky if she gets offered $400,000 for a place now. All right, so listen, this is going on. Again, the story of the condo crisis continues. This is just one element of that story. You know, if you're worried that your building might be prime for this, if you think this is happening, you should definitely get involved. You definitely want to reach out to your condo association, see what your bylaws say, what percentage is the buyout for your building. Pay attention to units that are selling, see who's buying them. If you see the same person buying a lot of units, that might be a red flag. And just, you know, pay attention. Also, I did a video last week about the Condo Alliance up in the Treasure Coast, and I'll put a link to that video at the end of this video. You can go watch that. And that's an organization that's looking at trying to fight back, basically going to the state of Florida and saying, hey, we need a little bit more time for all these assessments. And I know I got a lot of comments from you guys about that these people have had 3 years. Yes, I know that this has been around for a couple of years and people knew these assessments were coming, but you know, listen folks, these people are just trying to live. Yes, you could blame some of the people for ignoring it, but not everyone's bad. So let's not blame every condo owner. But be sure to watch that video. And next week, I'm gonna be doing something fun. As I said, it's not all bad. I'm gonna be covering one of the greatest outdoor events because it's fall, and that's when everything happens here in South Florida, the 65th annual Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show, and we're going to be talking about waterfront, luxury living, the boating lifestyle. We're going to be interviewing some people down there, looking at some beautiful yachts, so you're going to want to watch next Sunday's video as well. Anyway, I'm Palm Beaches Paul. I appreciate you watching. Wherever you are, get out and enjoy paradise. I'll talk to you next week.